the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is a CEO, Next Level University, and Global Top 100 podcaster. No other than Mr. Alan Lazaros. Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Alan. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yes, absolutely. So I actually have the book right here. The Compound Effect. I take the cover off. I like to have my covers off my books. So behind me, I keep my top 5 favorite books behind me. This is one of them. So about me, my name's Alan Lazaros, as you mentioned. I am a coach, trainer, and podcaster. It's written right over here: to reach my own unique potential and help others do the same. Everything else is secondary. I, similar to you, am trying to educate, inspire, and motivate the world to reach their full potential. And so I'm grateful to be here. I appreciate it. I started from very humble beginnings. I was born and raised in Massachusetts. My birth father passed away when I was 2. I was raised by my mom and my older sister. I had a stepfather from age 3 to 14. His name was Steve Lazarus. That's where I got my last name. And he left my family at 14, which was very hard for us. So I looked into the future and I said, okay, I'm in some trouble. We went from sort of boats and ski trips doing very well. He took 90% of the income with him when he left. And I looked into the future: no trust fund, no generational wealth, no dad. And my future didn't look very bright. So I had to create it in my mind and ignite the compound effect. And so I did the traditional path. I did preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, corporate. And then I got in a car accident at 26. My birth father died in a car when he was 28. And that sort of shook me to my core. And that's when I quit corporate and I started my own company, Alan Lazaros LLC, what you'll never learn in school, but desperately need to know. And now it's become Next Level University, level up your life, love, health, and wealth. And we have almost 2,200 episodes now. So we've been doing this a long time. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Mr. Alan Lazaros, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom today. Oh. How would you summarize the core message of the book in your own words?
So I have it written over here, actually. So in the upper left-hand column of my whiteboard in my office, I keep my office very boring on purpose, so I stay focused. So in the upper left-hand part of my whiteboard, there's a star, and I wear this star around my neck as well. A necklace with a North Star. It's a metaphor, and it guides me. And the word potential is next to the star. And then underneath that is this quote: 0.1% improvement every day for 50 years equals 84 million times better. If you take $1 and put it in a financial calculator and you grow it by 0.1% per day, this is 1/10 of 1%, 1/10 of a penny in percentage points, and you grow it by 0.1% per day, every day, 365 days a year for 50 years, and you don't take weekends off, you end up with almost $84 million. So $1 becomes 83 million plus, and I round it up to 84 million. If you take weekends off, I usually ask my audiences to guess how much that penny becomes. So it's 84 million without weekends off, 7 days a week for 50 years. It becomes 439,000 if you take weekends off. That is the compound effect in my own words. In other words, small, seemingly insignificant improvements compounded over time actually create unbelievable outcomes. And a lot of people see overnight success. They see me with a top 100 podcast with 2,200 episodes almost. And they see we work with 108 podcasters and business owners. And we actually have our biggest month this month, $100,000 in 1 month. It's going to be more than that, most likely. But what they don't see is how much we struggled in the beginning. What they don't see is how bad it was back when no one cared. And so I try to remember on interviews like this what it was like in the beginning when I couldn't get speeches at high schools and colleges, even for free. Nobody cared. So I'm grateful to be here. I really appreciate it. And I'll never forget where I started, which was a lot of adversity, pain, and suffering. And I think that that's what keeps me humble and keeps me working really, really hard every single day, because success and the compound effect never takes a day off. The science of achievement doesn't care about your feelings, and I think that's why I love the book.
Definitely. And Mr. Allen, which concept from the book resonated with you the most and why?
I think it's the small, seemingly insignificant improvements compounded over time through consistency leads to massive outcomes. The concept that some books change your life because they change your thinking, some books change your life because they help you double down on great principles that actually you already believed. This book, The Compound Effect. So I'm a big math thinker. I actually have been coaching for 10 years now. I surpassed my 10,000 hours not long ago. I have it written over here 10,911 coaching sessions, training sessions, and podcasts. So, coaching is one to one, training is one to several, podcasting is one to scale. The one to one coaching informs what I talk about on the podcast because I have 20 clients that I work with individually, all different cultures, all different backgrounds, all over the world, all different industries, all different ethnicities, male and women, men and women, and you learn so much. And what I learn, I then bring to the podcast, which is one to scale. And then that brings people to my trainings. And then my trainings bring people to my coaching. So it's a really cool thing. But the concept in the book that resonates with me is the mathematics behind it. So there's four modalities of thinking that I've uncovered in my coaching. The first one is mathematics, statistics, probabilities, rationality, system structures, equations, formulas. The second is, and that's the least common, not a lot of people think in numbers. There's a great book called Making Numbers Count that talks about how anything above five, actually, people start to get blurry. They can't tell the difference between a million and a billion.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to conceptualize that for a lot of people. I was the science and math geek back in high school and college. So for me, numbers is the way I think. The second one is words, concepts, and conversations. The third one, and that's the most common, most people think in words and concepts and conversations. The third one is pictures, images, and vision, the visionaries of the world, uh, visionaries. And then the fourth one is the one that I sucked at the most, which is energy, vibe, and intuition, frequency. So we all use all four. We all have a really good one and a really bad one. So my really good one is mathematics. My really bad one is energy, vibe, and intuition, which I've been working on. But the part of the book that I love the most is just the mathematics of it. A penny that doubles every day for 31 days becomes $10.3 million. And in the first 10 days, it's only like, I don't know, $5 or something. So the mathematics of compounding, Einstein called the law of compounding the eighth wonder of the world. And I think it's the most misunderstood thing in the entire world, particularly in the 21st century. There's 8 billion people online. There's 5.65 billion 8 billion people on the planet, 5.65 billion online. And with Starlink, that's increasing drastically. And so, unfortunately, we live in a world of exponentials, but we think linearly. And so we don't understand what's really possible for us. And so we don't, why would someone go for something they didn't believe was possible? But when you think in numbers, you understand what is possible. Google 30 years ago was in a garage, right? So I think there's a lot of possibilities for a lot of people. And I just wish that we understood that, which is why I recommend this book.
Definitely. Mr. Darren Hardy emphasizes small, consistent actions leading to big results. Can you share an example of how you applied this in your life since reading the book?
I had an interview earlier. I interviewed a man named Coach Michael Burt. He's been coaching for 33 years. He has a concept called long obedience in the same direction, which is the same as the compound effect. An example for me is the 10,911 hours. I have it circled over here. I used to carry these little black notebooks, and I used to coach, train, and podcast. I used to call it mentoring. It was basically coaching for free. And so again, coaching is one to one, training is one to several, podcasting is one to scale. But if this podcast episode is even reasonably good and I'm effective at my communication skills, it's only because of the thousands and thousands and thousands of hours I've done before this. So I have a 10,000 hour tracker. I started it 10 years ago. I, within the last 6 months, surpassed my 10,000 hours. And a lot of people think the 10,000 hour rule is fairly arbitrary. There's a lot of research and studies around. Some people say it's arbitrary, some people say it's a lot, and that it's necessary to get true mastery. Malcolm Gladwell books have talked a lot about that. But ultimately, I do feel like my 10,000 hour tracker has helped me stay focused. I have something called a P3 target, priority one, priority two, priority three. There's a bullseye in the center, and the bullseye in the center is one on one coaching, then P2, which is training, and then P3, which is podcasting. And so stay on target, stay on target, stay on target. And so I have a mastery formula called prep, rep, reflect, perfect.
We're lagging. We want to apologize for the lagging people. Mr. Alan is disconnected right now, and I hope he will return to our discussions. And before we continue, or we're waiting for Mr. Allen. I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because, well, let's see. I don't know. Mr. Allen, are you there? No, he's not.
Are
Are
you
you
still
there?
there?
Yes, I'm here now. I think we have difficulties or glitches.
Okay.
So
Where did we cut off?
we cut up of the questions. Which concept of the book resonated with you the most and why?
Oh, you asked me a tangible example
Yes,
of how I used the small improvements over time in my life.
yes, yes,
I have a
please.
10,000 hour tracker. I used to carry around these little black notebooks, and they're actually in the corner of my office right now. And I used to write, eventually, I turned those into flashcards, and I had piles of flashcards, and I realized I was wasting flashcards. I did them every single day, and coaching, training, podcasting. And then eventually I digitized it. And now I use Google Sheets for all my tracking. I track everything, not everything. I track a lot of things. I track my sleep. But most importantly, I track what I call my P3 target. It's a bullseye, three
Mm-hmm.
circles, and the bullseye is P1, P2, P3. And it's one to one to several, one to scale, coaching, training, podcasting. And I have a mastery formula called prep, rep, reflect, perfect. So prep is prepare for the interview.
Yes.
Rep is do the rep, do the interview. And then reflect is listen back and see what you can do better. And then perfect is implement some sort of change. And so prep, rep, reflect, perfect is the mastery formula that I use. And so it's not just about doing 10,000 hours, it's about making sure each hour is more and more effective. And effective communication is something that I've studied for a long time. I often joke, I used to think I was a strong communicator, and then I realized I'm only a strong communicator to other engineers. And I have something called the 25 impact points of effective communication that I actually have in Google Sheets, and I call it my growth tracker because that's my most important skill is effective communication. That's what connects coaching, training, and podcasting. And so I have tonality, storytelling, compelling visuals. I have this tracker where I rate myself from 0 to 10 on each of the 25 impact points of effective communication. Pacing is one of them, tonality, all these different things. And over time, eventually you get really, really, really good, even though you were hot garbage in the beginning.
Practice make you perfect, people. And Mr. Allen, the book talks about the power of daily habits. What new habit have you tried to implement after reading it?
Okay, well, after reading the book, I read the book years and years and years ago. I have actually probably read this book, no joke. I used to carry it around everywhere I went. Actually, this is the 10-year anniversary hard copy because I had a soft copy before. It's all tattered and ripped up.
Yes.
But I read the book probably 6 or 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, and I have a habit tracker, and right now I think I track 18 habits a day. I all my clients, business coaching clients, and all my team members, 18-person team, we all track metrics, habits, priorities. So it's dreams, priority. So dreams, goals, priorities, metrics, habits, skills, and identity. That's my program. And habit tracking is the number one habit that I would recommend to everybody. And habit tracking is a meta habit because obviously habit tracking is a habit that keeps you on track with your other habits. And so habit tracking is probably the most important habit that I have, if that's the question.
Yes, definitely. Mr. Allen, as a CEO, a global top 100 podcaster, what are your short term and long term goals?
So long term is 10 years plus, and that's kind of visionary stuff. The long term goal is actually written on my desktop background to build the most positively impactful personal development company in history. I used to be bashful about that and I used to be scared to share it, but that's ultimately what we're trying to do. My short term goals are actually, I can pull them up. Hopefully, I don't lag, but I can pull them up. So I do quarterly goals. So seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, quarters, years, decades, lifetime. So it all rolls up. But ultimately, the Q3 goals that I have, so for Q3, which it started on July 1st and it goes to October 1st, so the end of September, is 350 coaching sessions, 75 trainings, and 200 podcasts. So that's kind of a stretch for me. So I in Q2, I measure those three things: coaching, training, podcasting, as you know. And I researched how well I did. I tracked how well I did in Q2. And my average was 47 per week in Q2. And so I just created a goal that stretches me but doesn't burn me to the ground, essentially. So those are my Q3 goals. And those are process goals. There's a lot of different types of goals. So there's identity goals, which is who you want to become. There's process goals like coaching sessions, trainings, and podcasts. That's a process. And then there's results goals like the number of listens you want or subscribers on YouTube. I tend to like process goals because I'm very mastery driven. And I've found that if you have the right processes, a lot of times the results will come. However, you also need to create goals in advance that are results driven. Otherwise, you won't know the process. So, a good example of that would be if my goal is to build muscle, then eating more is a good thing. If my goal is to burn fat, eating more is not. So, everything needs to be reverse engineered based on the outcome you want in advance. And a lot of people say, well, it's about the journey, not the destination. Well, I don't agree because the destination you choose in advance dictates most of the journey. When I was in my early 20s, I drove across the country. I wanted to be in show business. I lived in Los Angeles, in Hollywood for probably 3 months before I came home for family reasons. But that's a very different journey driving from Boston to Los Angeles than driving 30 minutes south. And so a lot of people who say life is about the journey, it the journey completely depends on the destination you choose in advance. But why would someone who doesn't believe in themselves set a big journey? So I always say set a large staircase, set a large goal, a large mission, a large calling, a large purpose, whatever you want to call it, but it needs to be a results goal. And then that will force you to embark on an epic journey that forces you to grow and contribute and become more. And I think ultimately that's what we all want. We all want to become more. We all want to believe in ourselves. We all want to have self worth and self esteem and self belief and self respect. But those are actually byproducts of meaningful goals.
Yes, indeed. I want to be more. And good luck to your goals, Mr. Allen. And looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people that don't want to be like you?
Um, I grew up like I mentioned without a father. Birth father died when I was 2, stepfather left when I was 14, and I had a lot of heroes, movie stars, different people. One good example that people would know would be The Rock. And while I respect his work ethic deeply, as I matured and grew, I realized that a lot of my heroes had fallen from the pedestal. And I realized that while heroes are necessary for inspiration, motivation, and sometimes education, I think that all of us are very unique. There's 340 species of dog, last time I looked it up, and we think
Mm,
there's only one
yes.
type of human. So, of all the dogs, there's 340 different types. There's Chihuahuas and Dalmatians and Great Danes. And with human beings, it's the same thing. We're all different cultures, all different backgrounds, all different ethnicities, all different genetics. And I don't think anyone should try to be like me. I think they should try to be the best version of themselves. But I do think that you can learn from the principles that I teach or the principles that the compound effect teaches. I don't think I like Darren a lot. Like, I respect Darren, but I don't like the compound effect because Darren's a great author. I like the compound effect because it's the most powerful concept. So, regardless of whether or not you like Darren, the concept of the compound effect is unbelievably powerful. And I think that concepts and principles need to be mastered by each of us, but the way in which we apply them needs to be completely predicated on our own unique goals, our own unique context, the country we're born in, the passions and skills we have, our strengths and weaknesses. So that's what I would end with: is try to be the best version of yourself, and that's going to be very different than me. But these principles are very much, they apply to all of us.
Well, thank you for that advice, Mr. Allen. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in a fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101, Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 review in fourth season, as well as my Music 101, Science 101, and Sex 101 in each first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Mr. Alan, would you recommend the compound effects to others? And if so, why do you think would benefit most from reading it?
Yes, anyone who believes deeply in the science of achievement, I often say the science of achievement does not care about your feelings. Emotionally driven, experience driven people that are not super rational or logical. I'm an engineer, so that's why I joke. I say nobody really likes me, but I understand the science of achievement.
Yes.
Um, and so, anyone who's emotionally driven or experience driven, you typically shy away from numbers. I, growing up, used to date a woman who said, I hate math. And her name was Alyssa, and I enjoyed my time with her tremendously. And I used to say to her, I said, I know that you hate math, but if you understood how much math matters to your future, I have something called the Next Level Wealth Builder that I take all my clients through. And it shows you how, if you don't know mathematics and you don't understand exponentials and you don't understand the compound effect and you don't understand the law of compounding and you don't understand how to really reverse engineer goals and dreams, it's probably because most science, including achievement, is predicated on mathematics. Mathematics is the foundation of the pyramid. So the pyramid of life, I call it, is mathematics at the bottom, then it's physics, then it's biology, then it's chemistry, then it's physiology, then it's neuroscience, then it's psychology, and then it's spirituality. And I think that we want to master life, but we don't know the science of life. And so I noticed you had a podcast called Science 101. The reason I would recommend the compound effect is for the simple fact that if you don't like mathematics, maybe this is a good toe step into the science of achievement that will really make a big difference. And in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, I mean, your future could be unbelievably bright. And that can make other people's future bright. You know, it's not a zero sum game where you have to win or you have to lose for me to win. We can all be better tomorrow than we are today, and that inspires other people to be better tomorrow than they are today. And that's why in the 21st century, some of our quality of life is most of our quality of life, actually the majority of our quality of life is infinitely better than even the wealthiest person 500 years ago. So we used to put leeches on our skin to cure illness, and now we
Yes.
know better, and you have to know better to do better. So mathematics and the compound effect will change your life, and I hope that it does.
Definitely. Mr. Allen, Lazarus, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your podcast, or any projects that you're doing right now?
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Allen. Yes, people, let's support Mr. Alan Lazarus, because if you support him, more and more and more empowering coaching to come, for sure, more and more and more empowering episodes of the podcast, and more empowering people will come to the world. So, Mr. Alan, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And if you ever want
Monica,
me on any of the
yeah,
other podcasts, like the science one or any of that, just say the word, okay?
please do come over. Mental Health 101, I need someone to talk about mental health awareness.
I don't know if I'm
Please.
the right fit for that one, but this the science one, we'll talk off air. Thank you.
Okay. More to come, people. See you soon.